Welcome to the Freedive Cafe, episode 138 with Denis Grosmaire. The Freedive Cafe is the long-form interview podcast that explores the backstories, the training, the challenges, and the combined wisdom and personal philosophies of the world's freedivers. This is the first time I've ever done a video intro for the podcast. It's a little bit weird. I've never been out in public holding a selfie stick camera before. But, you know, this is 2022, and it's time to get with what the kids are doing. This is a little bit of the coastline of Shaliocho, where I'm based, where Freedive Taiwan is based, and I've been for the last several years. The bigger news from my side is that I will be leaving here in a few weeks, and I'll be taking a little bit of time off for myself for some work on myself and a little bit of healing after a very stressful autumn. And then a lot of you will know that I was talking about moving to Dahab, back to Dahab for summer for 2023. I should be there actually in the spring, at the end of March. And I have my flights, so barring any world-changing pandemic or war that affects that situation, I will be in Dahab for next year, if all goes to plan. And if you want to do training courses, you want to catch up, come and do some free diving stuff with me, then you are welcome. Massive shout out to the patrons for supporting the podcast over the last few years, but especially over the last few weeks, where I was struggling a little bit to keep up with things. On today's show is Denis Grosmaire. This is the very first video interview, face-to-face interview I did for the Freedive Cafe. I had a lot of trouble with this one. I had all the files, but I could not get the audio to sync with the video. It was all messed up. In the end, I figured out how to do it. It took a long time. That's why this one comes out after the other one I did with Alex Ginas. So sorry, Denny. Sorry I took so long. But this was an amazing interview, and it was so nice to do it face-to-face for the first time. I think that's going to be the trend, especially when I'm based in Dahab. Denny is from French Polynesia, grew up in French Polynesia, born and bred by the sea, grew up spearfishing, diving in the waters of French Polynesia every day of his life. He never took a formal freediving course until he was 39 years old. And up until that point, he never dived deeper than 30 meters. So I love that aspect of his story. And at the time of recording, he was diving 105 meters in free immersion. So pretty considerable deep diver there. The other interesting facet of Denny's story is his relationship with sharks. He has a very close relationship with the tiger sharks of French Polynesia. He's done amazing work in helping the conservation effort there to stop shark finning in French Polynesia. We talk about that. We talk about the work that he's done with his organization. We talk about his diving with sharks. We talk about touching sharks, if and when and who should be touching sharks. And we talk about how to interact with sharks. We give some advice to people who are in the water with sharks. So we have a bit of training, we have a bit of life story, we have a bit of ocean conservation and sharks finally. It's been a long time I wanted to get someone on to talk about sharks. Yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun for me. It's a completely different story sitting down with these people. Not to say that the other ones aren't fun too, but yeah, I love this. And I loved hanging out with Denny, diving in the blue hole. While he was there. It's an awesome vibe I get from these guys. Okay, let's dive. All right, Denis Grosmaire, nice to meet you. Welcome to the Freedive Cafe.
It's a pleasure.
So this is a new experience for the listeners as well, because we're the very, very first time that I have a Freedive Cafe guest in front of me. So it's almost like a graduation for me to the big league. Yeah, just before we go into the backstory and everything, just tell us what you're doing in Dahab and why are you here? How did I come to meet you that you're in Dahab at the same time as me?
Okay, I'm here in Dahab for training for sure. and I'm supposed to do competition in August. So it's my first time in Dahab. I know the place is very good for training. The setup is very easy in the Blue Hole. Life is cheap. There's a big community of freedivers. I have good friends here. So it's the perfect setup. And the thing is, I cannot proper train in Tahiti. I live on a small island, so it's difficult to find buddies. And so here I know that I can do a constant training.
Yeah, that's why we call this the Mecca of freediving, right? Because everyone comes here on kind of a pilgrimage when they need the environment that is most conducive to freediving training on a regular basis. We're all struggling to find buddies in most places. Yeah.
And safety as well, because I live on a remote island. It's far. If you have a problem, it's 3 hours to get the first plane to come pick you up.
Yeah.
And I have to freedive far from the village, far from the infirmary. So it's not only about buddies, it's also about safety.
Yeah.
And for deep dives, it's not the best to be far from the safety.
Yeah. If you have an accident on a deep dive, there's pretty much no way for you to get the kind of care and attention that you need, right?
You will have it, but it will take time.
Yes. Yeah. Even like the decompression chamber, you can.
We have in the main island of Tahiti. I live on Tikehau island. It's
Tikehau.
400 kilometers from Tahiti.
Okay.
And it's the time the plane arrives, the time you go back to the chamber, it's 4 maybe 5 hours. So.
Yeah. So tell us where you're from and like a little bit about how you grew up and how you found your way into the underwater world, which I know is like quite a short time because you started early. So tell us where you're from.
Okay, I live in French Polynesia since I'm 2-3 years old. Now I live on this island of Tikehau, but before I lived on the island of Moorea. So French Polynesia is 118 islands.
Yeah, it's like spread out also across a huge distance, right?
Yes, the distance is like Europe.
Wow,
yes,
that big. Okay,
it's very like from Marquesas to the South Island. It's very big.
Okay, that's something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I grew up mainly on remote islands. My mother was a school teacher, and she always decided to go teaching in the remote places where she can have a place to teach. So since my very young age, I lived on a remote island. We lived without electricity. It was difficult to have clean waters, and so and then since I was adult. I live all my life close to the ocean and very close to all the ocean activities like surfing, spearfishing. I know all different style of fishing. And then I got a job in the administration. I was HR in a big company of Tahiti.
So this is now going to like the main town or city in.
Yes, Tahiti is the capital. It's where you have all the administration, the big
Tahiti
hospital.
Is also the name of the island, like
the big island. Yes, exactly. So I work in a company. We build social houses for poor people. I mean, people that need it, and then I work in a city hall of another island, Moorea, where I live most of my time, most of my life. But finally, I decided that it was not a job for me because for my education, since I was a kid, I spent all my life outside. And I realized after more than 10 years that being in an office every day was not something good for me. And I decided to quit my job. I decided to sell my house. And I decided to get a freediving instructor course to open a freediving center on the island of Cormier.
Okay, so because I read before that you didn't do your first freediving course until you were in your late 30s. So I thought you kind of started then. But, I think you didn't mention that you were already spearfishing from a very young age.
Yes, I started my first freediving course in 2016. I was not 40, but 39. So very late.
Okay.
Yeah, and before that, I have never reached 30 meters.
Right, okay.
So the first course opened my eyes and opened all the windows. Yeah. Because yes, of course, I have a huge background of spearfishing. I spear fishing maybe since the age of 5, 6, and I spent all my life in the ocean. So very quick. I took a spear and tried to learn. I learned by myself, which is not very good, because in Tahiti we learn also hyperventilation and everything.
Yeah.
And because I
Makes
was
sense.
and because I was usually alone who wants to go spearfishing, I spearfish almost all my time alone, which is not good. It was difficult to find buddies as well, and and then I realized, and then I asked myself, wow, okay, my comfortable zone in spearfishing was like less than 20 meters. I was afraid of the depths, I was afraid of the blue, and I was afraid to go deeper because I knew that I was alone in the water, and I knew that you can have some accident if you do bad things. So I took my first course in Villefranche-sur-Mer, and for me it was like, wow, revelation.
So that's back in France?
Yes.
Yeah. Who did you do that course with?
With Marik Shango Diving.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the name, but so you went back to France to do that course. At the time in Tahiti, there was nobody who could teach you?
No, and I wanted to be completely in a freediving center to learn everything, to catch all the little tips, and to live in a freediving center. In Tahiti, I don't know if there was someone who could give me the course, but I prefer to go out with Tahiti and be focused on something for 6 months.
Yeah. So you went out of Tahiti and you started your level 1 course, and then you actually just went through the levels and built up to instructor in one kind of straight
in a row. Yeah.
Well, you had a good foundation to do that, right? Even if you're only diving 20 meters.
Yes.
As a kid, this is a good foundation for your body, I think, for your adaptation and everything like that.
Of course.
Most of us freedivers, we can only dream of this kind of childhood.
Sure.
And we'll be talking a little bit about you. So you became an instructor. Did you then go and open your school?
Yes, and then I went back to Tahiti and I opened my school in September 2016. The idea was to develop free diving in French Polynesia. So I work with Federation of Tahiti, and I start to teach a lot, and it was great. Yeah.
And do you still have the school?
No, the school is now sleeping a little bit because I had a new project, and because it's difficult in Tahiti to live just for a freediving center. And I had association. It was not a proper business, so it was not the same thing comparing to someone who can have a proper business. Because in French system, you need a brevet d'état. It's over AIDA instructor. You need a specific diploma.
Yeah, I've spoken to a couple of Lily Crespi and Alice Modolo.
Yes.
They went back to France to start the freediving business, but they were talking how they have to do some kind of degree, and it's very complicated.
Yes.
And I think France is maybe one of the only countries in the world where you have to do it like this.
Unfortunately,
And it goes and it extends all the way halfway around the world to the French Polynesia.
Yeah, so now the center is a bit sleeping, and I mean the school, because I had to start another business because it was not, I cannot earn too much money to be comfortable in my life. So but still, my business today it's to do snorkeling with the clients, so I'm still in the water. And
it's perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
I think though during the COVID period over the last 2 years, it's kind of impossible anyway very difficult to do the freediving school business. But especially somewhere like where you are, to establish it and make it grow, it's like you have to put it to sleep for a while, right? Yeah. So how did you then get involved in the sort of competition deep diving scene? Like, what motivated you to do that? Why did you want to go deeper and deeper? And where did you do that?
Okay, I did my first freediving competition in Villefranche-sur-Mer in 2016. Marik, the owner of Chango Diving, told me, hey, go, you're not too bad, let's see, and it's going to be something new for you, and you're going to learn some good things. And I was like, okay, let's go just to try. So I did the Nice Abyss contest. I was super stressed. For me, it was like, wow. I read the books and I try to focus on how can I put my stress down. For me, it was like the most the most intense deal of my life because I had never done competition.
Yeah.
I mean, in school, yes, but I was like in a situation where I cannot sleep at night.
Yeah.
It was so crazy for me. And I reached 52 meters in free immersion. And then I was happy. Not too bad. My
white
first
card?
Competition. Yeah, white card.
Okay, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And then few days after, I had to go back to Tahiti. And then I realized that after teaching a lot in Tahiti, training a little bit in Tahiti, that it was something that finally was good and something that attracted me, and maybe I want to do more. So my next competition was in 2018. I did the Nice Abyss contest one more time, and I went to Vertical Blue in Bahamas.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know how a beginner like me had such an opportunity to get a ticket to this competition, because for me it was, wow, the most beautiful competition, all the best athletes, all the top. And I sent an email to the organization and they give me a registration. Yeah, I was like, wow, this was crazy. So I decided to train a little bit more. I cannot really train in Tahiti. This is why also I'm here to have like long-term training. So I decided to go to the gym, do some dry exercise, go swimming a lot, do some surfing a lot, because surfing is good for cardio. And when
it's the hardest thing in the world, man. Surfing.
Yeah.
It's the best
surf
workout
big
ever.
Waves, you're under when you fall, you're under the waves. You need to hold your breath. So I try to do a lot of sport. Unfortunately, not too much deep dives, but to be ready, to be in good shape. So I decided to go earlier in Nice to train like 2 months before the Nice Abyss contest, and then go to Vertical Blue.
So was this Vertical Blue 2018?
Yes.
Yes, that's because I was watching it and I saw your name there. So this little clicks. Yes, I remember.
It was my first competition, like with all the big boss, and I was so impressed.
And that was a great competition too. I think that was the first one with the dive eye too. So it was the first real spectator Vertical Blue competition. Yeah.
But in this competition, I was very chill in a certain way, because I just been there just to see what happened without expectation, without goals, without stress. My mood was very good, and we had we shared a house with Thibaut, Stéphane, Alice, and Rémi, the French team, the French mafia.
French house,
And it was very nice, and we had good time. And for me, it was my very first engaged competition in depth. So. And before that, in the Nice Abyss contest, I have reached 68 meters. So I was like happy. It was cold water, and I was like curious to see where I can go deeper in warm water in such a beautiful place. And I was happy the competition.
And how did you perform in this competition?
During the training, I did my first in Vertical Blue. I did my first 80 meters.
80. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. With the tips, the advice of everyone.
Yeah, you're living in like an absolute powerhouse of a
house.
Yeah.
Thibaut Guinness helped me a lot, and he told me, "Hey, it's just here, just." I said, "Yeah, okay." And then I start the competition at 80, and because there's 6 days of competition. And then 82, 84, 87, 90, and 93.
Oh, wow. So you're doing like PBs?
Yeah, PBs after PBs. And I was very comfortable. My technique was not super good, but I was so happy. And I didn't felt any hypoxic or any bad situation every single dive of the competition. This is why I decided to put more. And it was very nice competition for me. Like I was dreaming impossible in my life to reach that depth, so I was so happy.
And I understand that you've reached about 105 now in free immersion.
Yeah, that's my PB now.
Yeah, is free immersion your favorite discipline?
Yes, it's strange because I do a lot of spearfishing, so I can also try to do something with bifins. Monofin, I don't like it for sure. I will never do it, but. I'm a swimmer. I'm a long-distance swimmer. I'm a surfer. I think my arms or it's kind of the same muscle chain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think my arms are good for free
pulling
immersion.
muscles. It's all
the pulling muscles. And when I start free immersion in Villefranche-sur-Mer in 2016, I say, wow, I want to continue to do this.
Yeah, it's. I think it's the most chilled way to experience a dive, and the deeper the dive is, then the more opportunity you have to chill in that process. I'll also argue that because I'm a freediving instructor and I spend my whole life kicking. When I do my own deep diving, I don't want to be kicking anymore. I want to be just relaxing.
Yeah, maybe I have this kind of reasons as well.
Yeah, because you're very when you're doing your other activities, you're so busy. So when you come to freediving, maybe you want to be more chilled.
Maybe after I reach my PB, my like best PB I can do in free immersion, maybe I will go on by fin, or why not no fin? It's a nice discipline.
It's beautiful. It's good that we have this kind of variety and that they are so different, so we can, we're not just going up and down the same way every time, but we have options. And so you've only been doing this for a relatively short period of time, but now that you're 105 meters, you're over the 100-meter mark. Are you beginning to approach your training in a different way? Is it becoming more structured? Are you getting coaching like this?
Yes, I tried a coaching last year, a mental coaching, not a training coaching, just a mental coaching. I have always done my training coaching by myself. I'm happy it worked until today, so I will continue to do it by myself. I don't want to have something that can change my mind and finally I make a jump behind and instead of make a jump in front. But the mental coaching was new for me. I think it's very interesting, it's very important. But I had a problem. It was last year during Vertical Blue. I have experience for the first time overtraining just before the competition. So I did a bad competition.
Right.
So the mental coaching plus the overtraining made me very disappointed of my performance. It's good. I think there's many ways also to have mental coaching. Depends on your mental coach. I learn a lot with mental coaching. It gives more confidence. But now my approach and my instructor, because it's the word that you use, my instructor of training is very different. Now that I have reached 100 meters and now that I have goals also to go over, I take freediving more like something intense, something you have to be focused, you have to train, but I put less stress or less mental block, I don't know how to say, mental obstacles in the depths. So I go, I chill. My approach during the free fall is completely different, and on the way back also, on the way up also. So yes, all this experience I think made me a bit stronger and change a little bit. Deep dives can be stressful. So, and I cannot train in Tahiti. I think it's a good thing to just stop for a few months and get this guy here because he's doing all the job. Get this different approach. I see in my training now, they're doing super well, and I'm very chill when I go in the water. I don't have any like stress or something. And my approach is do your best, do what you can do. And if you do early turn, it doesn't matter. You have another chance tomorrow. Before I was like, I have to go. I'm like focused, and it creates I think in long terms of training kind of inside stress that it takes time to remove. So now, my approach is different. I'm more comfortable and I'm still doing all my good exercise of meditation and visualization that for me are very, very important.
Is that something that you always did, or is that, I was going to ask, like, what did you do to change your mental condition? Is it things like meditation and visualization?
Yes, it's something I practice since 2018. Meditation a lot at that time. Visualization not too much. Visualization, I decided to practice it before last Vertical Blue, which for me was my first competition with a goal. So I decided to practice visualization because I know, and it worked on me, then it's very, very efficient. You boost all your nervous system, and so it's very...
So when you say visualization, you mean specifically visualization of the dive?
Yes,
so
mostly, yeah.
Would you do that like lying on your bed or like...
Yeah, no, I prefer to like just sit and be a comfortable...
Like meditation position?
Yeah, meditation position, back on the wall, cushion.
Yeah,
Cushions, just not to feel pain. Sometimes you have the legs that you have muscle a bit too strange. Yeah. And just close my eyes, do a meditation, and do a long visualization.
Yeah. And do you also like time the visualization with the dive and with the real dive time? Is that something you do?
Yes, but I don't watch the time. I had done this sometimes, and I know I'm not too far from the normal time, so I try not to do the watch.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because you feel better in the morning, you feel better in your dive, you feel better in the free fall, you have more confidence, and then on the way up it's also better.
Nice. So now that you're here in Dahab and you're training for depth here, I'm interested because I've been meeting a few free divers and they're always telling me, their kind of weekly structure, like dive 2 days on, 1 day off, or 2 days in the depth, 1 day in the pool, 1 day off, that kind of thing. Do you have a similar goal here with your structure?
Yes, first I don't do pools.
Okay.
If I want to swim, I just go in the ocean and I do crawl swimming and try to breathe as less as possible. It's my main training in Tahiti is swimming. Yeah, and of course. And I told you last year I experienced overtraining, 100 like in a row, 1 day rest and go again, and
that's too much.
That was too much. And so now this is also my new structure, my new approach is like, okay, dive, do your best, go deep, and when you don't feel it, don't go. I was supposed to dive this morning, but finally yesterday I was like, now I take a rest day. My training yesterday was intense. So of course it's important to rest. I don't have a proper planning day after day until I have to go back, but it's more about how I feel and what I want to do. For example, the previous night I can program to go to 90, but finally the morning when I woke up I'm not very in good shape, so I prefer to do some full excels or something like this. And I'm not like focused on, if I don't do the training I was supposed this morning, for me it's okay, it's not a problem, I will do it the next day.
I think it's important for free divers to, I think we all learn over time, but this element of rest and recovery is so important because we're really putting not just our muscles but our nervous system under a lot of stress, and it will start to come out if you overtrain. It will start to come out maybe in like bad emotions or a bad mood or negative thinking and things like this, and then this then carries into your diving as well, and then it gets worse and worse. So I, at this point I'm almost like thinking a 1 day on, 1 day off kind of approach would be kind of perfect, but we'll see. Because then somebody says to you, you want to go diving tomorrow? And you're like, well, okay, maybe I need to rest, but maybe I want to dive.
Everything depends on what you're doing during your session. If you're doing deep dives, yes, of course, 1 day rest after it's good. But for me now, I have to do volume because I don't free dive in Tahiti. I do a lot of spear fishing. But where I live is too fishy, so at 15 meters you have like big fish like this. Right. So I never reach 2. So now I have to do volume. So this is why I repeat, and it's my first rest day in 4 days training in a row.
So how deep are you diving now that is considered like volume training for you? Are you back up in the 70s, 80s already?
Yeah, I'm back up in the 90s,
already.
Okay. But yesterday I was supposed to do 90, but I wanted to do some full excel, so I repeat full excel, to get acclimatation again with just the pressure, just the technique, the duck dive, and all the equalization things, because when you deep dive, everything should be perfect at every step of the situation,
especially at this depth.
Yeah. So just to do volume, just the memory to put everything in the right place. And
so you were saying you were supposed to go to a competition in August, so that's not going to work out. You're going to head back to... Are you still unsure about now? Things have changed now? Okay. Well, I hope it works out for you, and I wish you all the best with your training and as a deep diving. I want to come on to the shark thing now, right?
Yes.
So I understand that you have some kind of a shark foundation back in Tahiti. Tell us a little bit about what that is and about your life there with sharks, because that's a big part of what you do.
Okay, as I told you, I work in administration since I was 21 years old. And at one point, I realized with a good friend of mine that working in the same administration that it was like something we finally don't really like, be in office. And I was HR, and HR is one of the most difficult jobs because you have to deal every employee that complain about anything, and with all the syndicat. And we decide to do something on the weekend to put away the stress from the administration. And he had a big boat, and I had a huge background of spearfishing, and I know sharks and everything. So we decided to jump in his boat and go encounter the biggest sharks of French Polynesia. So
which are tiger sharks?
We have whale sharks.
Okay.
It's the bigger in the ocean.
Quite a bit bigger.
But whale shark, there's nothing like exciting because it's not dangerous. And So we decide to swim with tiger sharks, and we find places. And we drive like by boat for days, for overnight, to find some places where we can find some tiger sharks. And we find like amazing places, like swimming with 6 tiger sharks at the same time. So all our weekends since that time, like spent in diving with tiger sharks, like all day long, and the day after, like Saturday, Sunday, non-stop. And it was crazy because we were like beginner in diving with such big shark like this. And we had some moment at the beginning where like sharks were like chasing us, and it was very afraid at the beginning. But finally we get a bit of experience, and because we loved shark that much, and we realized that sharks were not protected in French Polynesia. And we talked to the government, we had some statistics, and sharks were killed for shark finning. So they cut the fins and they
sell to
China. And I just give you some short example. In 2002, 8 tons of dry fins, dry fins were exported to China, which is like thousands of sharks.
Thousands of sharks, must be.
Thousands, yeah.
So
killed in the Ocean Pacific. So because we just like 1 year before like had this connection with the sharks, and like, hey, let's do something. So we decided to run a shark foundation to help the government to establish the first shark regulation in French Polynesia, because you can kill a shark, you can get the jaw, you can get the teeth, which is not good. And it was kind of easy because we had some strong cards to put on the table. The first one, it's the card where all the Polynesians are very proud, is our culture. And we had the chance at that time, the minister of the environment was the minister of the culture. And we say to the minister, because we had meeting with them, we have to protect the shark because shark have an important role in our culture, from the mythologia, from the creation of the universe in our mythologia. And nowadays, sharks are very important. You still have tattoo of shark because it represents strength. It's a totem animal. And when you read all the legends and the mythologia, it's amazing. Sharks have an amazing role. Sometimes they bite people, but most of the time they protect people. So we put this first cultural card on the table to say, if we don't have shark anymore, it's a part of our culture that disappear. So first good point for us. And then we put, of course, the ecologic card on the table, because French Polynesia, the marine life is rich, and we know that the sharks has a very important role in the marine food chain. So no more shark, and this is the sentence I like to use when I organize a conference. No more shark, no more sashimi. No more shark, no more fish, because all the marine food chain will be completely shaken.
Yes.
And then we had another card, is the economic and touristic card, because tourists come in French Polynesia to do snorkeling, to swim with whales, with dolphins, to see sharks. We have beautiful mountains, we have beautiful hikings, but most of the people come in French Polynesia to do snorkeling, to jump in the water and to just put their mask and see everything. So no more shark. It's also a part of the economy that disappeared. And my friend, who is a scientist, he studied the lemon shark, and with his organization he put a value on one shark in French Polynesia. One shark represents like hundreds of dollars. So it's a part of the economy that disappears if we don't have sharks anymore. And then we have, of course, the scientific card to say, we have to study the sharks. Let's make this French Polynesia the biggest shark sanctuary in the world. And 6 months after, the first shark regulations in French Polynesia was established.
And what kind of regulations were you able to help bring in with the foundation? That the sharks can't be killed, or that
yes. The shark regulation for us was clear. You cannot kill a shark. You cannot cut the fin. You cannot transport a shark in French Polynesia. You cannot kill a shark.
Yeah, okay.
A living shark is more important. It earn you more money than a living shark. And a shark is important for our culture, for everything I just told you. So it was easy. Not quite easy, but we had chance at that time. The Minister of Environment was like, wow, young guys want to protect the sharks. Okay, let's listen to them and let's see what we can do.
You got a little bit lucky there, I think. At the right time, right place kind
I think
of thing.
so, yeah. But excuse me, French Polynesia, we are very proud of our territory, of the beauty. It's an amazing place. The marine life is amazing. The landscape, we don't have that much pollution. So once you offer the politics something new to protect French Polynesia, usually they catch this file and they study it seriously. It's for a good reason.
Did you experience any kickback from local people who are involved in the shark finning business, that maybe their business would be affected or anything like that?
Yes, we had trouble with them, but we didn't care, because it was a business comparing to thousands of sharks who were killed and comparing to our culture, everything. So we just didn't care about what they think. We have done our job working with the government, and of course people were complaining because they were concerned with the business of shark finning and exporting to China. But it's not our problem anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well done, and congratulations on it.
You.
It's
Thank
such
you,
a huge thing that you did there. And is that covering all of the waters of French Polynesia?
Yes.
Wow, that's huge.
Yes.
Yeah, an area the size of Europe.
Yes, and this is why we are the biggest shark sanctuary in the world. No, the marine zone, the marine territory is 80 kilometers from the first island. So when you go to Marquesas Island, Tuamotu, everything, it makes something very, very big.
Yeah.
We call this the exclusive marine zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Because maybe some of the waters in between are still international waters, right?
But still, nowadays we have problems because we have all these Chinese vessels coming and they stop in Tahiti Island to put fuels and everything. And we realize sometimes that they have dry shark fins on the boat. So we call the authority, the administration to go investigate. And every time the Chinese say, no, we fish them outside our zone. But we not agree, because the shark regulation, you cannot transport a dead shark in French Polynesia.
French Polynesian
Yeah.
waters.
Yeah.
I hear that the Chinese fleets are even making it to the Galapagos Islands and
Yes.
causing havoc there, which is insane. You know, it's insane that these huge vessels will travel, you know, halfway around the world to deplete the waters of another country. You know, it's crazy. Something that interests me a lot, you know, a few years ago back on the island where I live, I also live on like a small island. We used to have like some fish farm there, and there were some sharks coming every so often, black tips. And they were quite big, you know. I was quite shocked. I'd never seen a shark before, like 2 meters, like bad visibility, and then be swimming up and swimming around the dive line because they get so curious, you know. They come and like sniff and check you out, and then as soon as you look at them, they run away. And it was very fascinating. What advice, like if you had to give like a few points to people regarding interacting with sharks in the water, like what would be your biggest advice?
Okay, first of all, it's their territory. So if they come close, they're just curious. We are not in their menu. When you look at the statistics, less than 10 people die from shark attack, maybe between 50 and 60 shark attack, but without deaths. Okay, so it's their territory, and they come just because they're curious, because maybe it's the first time also they see a human.
Yeah.
It's like animals in the forest. Yeah. So the first thing is not to panic. And then just keep an eye. If the shark, for example, is turning around the line, if the shark is turning around the line, just get vertical and keep an eye on the shark, because you show the shark that, yeah, I'm here too. Okay, you're the boss because it's your territory, but maybe I'm bigger than you, or maybe if I have friends, you can and then don't panic. If you think that the sharks is getting closer and closer, you can just swim back slow. Don't kick too fast on the surface. You will make some bubble. You will create stress because you will not see the shark anymore, and the shark will get more curious. So just if you feel that you're uncomfortable, just go back slow to the boat and jump in the boat. If the shark really come very close, it's very simple. You just grab the nose and redirect him. Yeah, that's the best thing you can do. For example, if it's the big shark, like a tiger shark, I don't know in Taiwan if you have such big sharks like this.
They come around, but not so close to the shore. Yeah.
Yes, and usually sharks, what happened with this shark? He turned, and what happened? Then he disappeared, no?
I've never seen the tiger shark.
No, but the
black
shark
tip,
you're talking.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's funny because as soon as you actually look at them, they seem to know exactly that they must see the eyes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In all the predators or the animal kingdom, it's eyes first. Yeah, and in human communication is the same. So you just keep an eye on the shark, and he will okay, and at one moment he will disappear. Depends on the situation, of course. If you're close to the reef, or if you're in the deep ocean, if you have oceanic white tip, can be different. If you have a tiger shark, if you have a mako, so it depends on the shark. But first thing is not to panic, be tall, and how to say, you are the boss of the situation.
Be confident.
Yes, you handle the situation.
Yeah.
And keep an eye, and if the shark comes too close, just redirect him and go slow. If the boat is far, just call the boat. And accident in shark attack are very rare. So
I've heard that most of the accidents are happening when people are wading in shallow water, and maybe the shark confuses the leg of the person for a fish or something like that. But I haven't heard of any attack where the diver is in the water with the shark, observing the shark.
If you look, the main shark attack now since few years, it's in Réunion Island.
Yeah.
Because they have bull sharks, and the behavior of the sharks are changing. But it's stupid because there are some rules where say that don't go swimming there. Sharks can be a bit dangerous, and they go, and they had been bitten by the shark. So don't go in the cage of the lion, and you go in the cage of the lion. So it's stupid from the people. There are some rules. It's better to respect them. And Yeah, in Hawaii also there's some attack with tiger sharks, but it's like so rare. And we say that there are three different shark attack. It's the confusion attack. The shark think it's a turtle or a seal. We talk more about great whites because or tiger sharks because they attack from the
below.
So they confuse maybe a turtle. It's investigation attack. They don't have hands, so they do like a dog. They
little bites,
But then if it's a big shark, and then it's a territory attack. We see this sometimes with scuba divers where like small reef sharks, they come and they bite him because it's their territory. So
all of this just makes such perfect sense.
Yeah.
But you know that it's the same thing if you go like the dogs here are quite nice, but in some places I've been like in the islands of Thailand, you go running in the mountain and you find the pack dogs, you know, and it's like you have to you're running towards the dogs and they get aggressive, so you slow down, you walk, you make eye contact with them,
of course,
and then you turn around and keep eye contact with them, and then they stop, and then you wait until you have a chance to move away and start your run again. You don't just like run into the dogs and expect that they're going to
of course,
move out the way for you.
Of course.
But of course, in our culture, in our psyche, we have this like deep fear of sharks. You know, perhaps it's because of the popular media and things like that. It also contributes.
Yes, and I think it's a bit stupid because every time there is a shark attack, there are some shark attack in Tahiti. It's newspaper in red, shark attack. And it's funny because I talked to my shark foundation like a few days ago, and there were a shark attack in Tahiti, supposed to be a tiger shark on the body border, but the bite is very big comparing to the size of the shark, and so we're investigating also on this part. And the city hall made a paper the next day. You cannot swim anymore. Swimming is closing. Beach are closed until new order. And I talk to my team and I say, we should do the same when there is someone dying on the road because of drinking alcohol. The city hall or the authority should write a paper and say, accident due to alcohol. All stores, no more alcohol to sell. The road are closed. So it's stupid. People and media and administration, when there's a shark attack, it's always something, wow, no, it's not possible that we have shark attack. Of course it is. It's their territory. So you're right when you say that the movies, the media make this shark attack too, I don't know how to say.
Dramatic.
Which is not. How many people die from driving car because of drinking alcohol? I mean, do they write this paper the next day? No more alcohol for a few days. No, they don't care.
I mean, it's such a shame because the shark population across the world is in such decline. And it seems like the last days of the sharks we will spend with this like poor knowledge and poor understanding and poor relationship with them. And of course, that's why, you know, thank you to people like yourself for encouraging this better relationship and less fear of sharks. I personally can't wait to meet them again in the water. I think they're fascinating, and like, what do you think about? You know, you see occasionally on the Instagram and social media and things, you see people swimming and touching sharks. You know, to what extent people say you should never touch a shark? What do you think about that?
I cannot say this because tiger sharks are my favorite animal, and sometimes they come very close. They're very curious, and I'm pretty sure sometimes they want a hug. So sometimes I hug them. So I'm the bad person to say it's not good to do it. I would say it's not good to do it if you don't know how to behave with sharks. I swim with tiger sharks since 2004. I have 18 years of experience. During lockdown, I go alone, swim 6 hours with 4 or 5 tiger sharks. I get the experience. I know how they behave. I know their personality because they have personalities. I know they can have mood, and I know what to do, not to do, also to be far from something that can happen. you never know, of course. And I do a lot of underwater photos. So when there's 5 tiger sharks swimming around me, sometimes they come behind and they just, So I would say if the shark is coming very close, it's not a bad thing to touch it, and especially those big sharks, they are apex predators. They are invulnerable. I don't know if it's
invulnerable.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
You can't
They
hurt
hit
them.
the reef.
Yeah.
They hit the reef to catch food. They fight. They nothing for them is dangerous for them. Nothing can stop them. Yeah. So it's not because yes, some scientists will say no, there's a liner on the sharks to protect the skin. Yes, of course, I touched sharks already. There's this oily thing, but it will come back again. They go to the reef, they go on the sand, they go everything. So in terms of scientific things, it's not bad to touch a shark. And you touch a shark maybe one time in his life, in 1 month or something. So it's not a big problem. Yeah. And when the shark comes too close, sometimes you don't have choice to redirect him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say, especially in that situation. It seems like I'd have to be in that situation first to experience it. But I always think in my mind, what would I do if the shark comes too close? I'm thinking, well, I just must put my hand on the nose or something like that and move it out the way.
Yes. Excuse me. Of course, I will not recommend a beginner that see a big shark for the first time to go and hug him. No, of course not, because then...
No hugging the sharks.
No, because then they can have problems. And sharks, sometimes they are imprevisible, sorry. You don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Unpredictable.
Unpredictable, exactly.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I cut your question.
No, it's okay. I think that the problem when it comes to touching sharks is not somebody in your case who has developed a long-term relationship with sharks, who knows them individually, who knows their individual character traits, but maybe the people who are jumping in the water maybe for the first time with sharks, and they're super confident and cocky, and they have their buddies with their cameras, and they really want to get the shot or the nice picture for Instagram or something like that. And then the how to say, the intention is not the right intention there, right? Yeah,
of course. And Instagram, we know the goals of everyone. It's to do something that the other is not doing and to get more like and more followers, which is stupid, because sometimes people forget their own safety, doing things just to get Instagram photo and everything. So no, of course, touching sharks, swimming with sharks, you need to be with a guide. If you're a beginner, it's not something you have to do. It's stupid to put yourself in a dangerous situation just to get a picture. If you don't have experience, don't do it. It's an extreme moment when you swim with big sharks. You don't put the line at 90 for beginner. You don't swim with the big sharks without experience and without a guy that has a lot of experience.
Well, if I ever have the kind of money that is required to travel to French Polynesia and stay with you for a couple of months, I'll come and you can teach me all about how to interact with sharks. It's definitely a bit of a dream.
And if you come swimming with sharks, of course, before jumping in the water, there are a lot of discussion about shark conservation, but how to behave, and there are some instructions. I'm the guide, you come with me, you have to follow the instruction. We jump in the water, there are limit zone where you cannot dive, you stay close to the boat. I swim if the shark is coming too close, you don't touch the shark. So there are some rules to make this moment for you amazing. And trust me, you will change completely your vision of big sharks, and you will understand a bit my passion. And it's an amazing moment. For me, it creates me two things. When I'm diving with sharks, I forget all my land life here, and I'm completely connected with the sharks. I can swim 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes with 3 to 5 tiger sharks. Trust me, it's like, wow. It's an amazing therapy.
Yeah, it sounds like almost like what's the word? An altered state of consciousness that you are experiencing at this time.
Exactly.
Don't worry. If I come to you, I will listen to every single tiny little word that you say, follow every single instruction if I'm going to be diving with a tiger shark. Yeah. Well, thank you. You know, on behalf of lovers of the ocean, on behalf of lovers of big animals, and thank you for the work that you do in French Polynesia with conservation for the sharks. We know the situation is terrible for sharks across the world right now. All right, let's. I have a little fun little way to finish up the interview here. I have these. I call them the desert island questions. They're not really that related to desert island, but it's just like 10 questions
it's
that I like
in
to
Dahab,
ask.
maybe, or
well, I always do
okay,
it.
okay.
Yeah, but it started off like really about the desert island, but then there's you'll see what I mean. Yeah. Okay, thank you for answering
okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. It's always a little bit of a deep question, you know, like that one. But the environmental topic. You know, I used to try to bring it up on all the episodes, but to be honest, it becomes so depressing after a while when you come to the end of the interview and you have these like same depressing conversations every time about the state of the world, but.
It's always the same.
Not
usually.
We don't really do it anymore. But
okay.
I don't usually ask people about conservation. But I like to. I want to do more, bringing people like yourself in to talk about the work that you do, rather than just ask some free diver their advice on conservation. Because it's unfortunately, my feeling is that no matter what I do individually. Like if Big Brother up there is not doing his job too, then it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. So it's a very difficult situation.
No, of course, yeah. The planet is burning, and finally, no one is doing something that they have the possibility to do it.
Okay, well, now on to a positive note. Just to take us out, if people want to find out more about you and what you do and your Shark Foundation, where can they find out about that?
Social media, Instagram or Facebook.
What are your names? Because in case anyone is watching the video, they can look up straight away.
Yes, my personal page with what I'm doing, me and the shark, is Denis Grosmaire, and then the Shark Foundation, the name is Tore Association. Tore is the name of tiger shark, and if someone wants to come to Tikehau snorkeling and get a tour with me, it's Tikehau Ocean Tour.
Awesome. All right. I think we'll finish up there. Thank you so much, Denis.
My pleasure.
Cormier. It's
Thank
been
you.
An absolute pleasure talking to you. And thank you for being the very first in-person guest for the Freedive Cafe, the one of many, I hope. But you made it super easy for me, and all our equipment is still functioning, hopefully.
Cool.
So, yeah. All right, nice. Thanks, man.